Swat Cats is a cartoon that aired from 1993 to 1995.
Watch out for Swat Cats, the radical squadron!
Right in between, in 1994, they did a little toy line of action figures.
Mess with these cats and you're going down! Calling the SWAT cats, yeah!
Got an old card back saved from opening them up way back when I had them as a kid. I'm going to show you the whole toy line. It's only 4 figures, and we'll talk about it. So first we've got Chance Furlong, or T-Bone. It's going to be the one that looks most like just the SWAT Cats. These figures have movement on the legs and arms, and then joints on the legs and arms. Not a ton of motion, but especially on the leg, doesn't do a whole lot. The head will go all the way around. And you have tail articulation. Whoa, spinning tail. They claim to be 6-inch figures, but they're kind of just shy of that. A little more like 5-inch figures. I remember seeing these in Toys R Us. I just somehow knew right then, I was like, this is the only time I'm going to see these. I need all 4 of the line. Luckily I got them. I kept pretty good care of them. T-Bone comes with the Glovatrix, which was their main kind of on-foot weapon when they weren't flying their jet. It did have some kind of chain piece originally, but that seems to have snapped off, or maybe I just removed it because I didn't understand what it was for. So you can slide that onto one of the hands. Pops on there. That was kind of their standard weapon on the show, so pretty cool. It's not colored in or anything. Speaking of color, if we kind of look here, we can see originally in some of this concept art that there was supposed to be actually bloody claw marks in there, and then a lot more, details in some of the costume. All the crazy coloring on his little kind of flight suit equipment here, not colored in on the real one, so a lot of saving with not doing all the proposed paint apps in this prototype image. It's cool to see that on the back of the car. That's why I always kept the card backs, because you get these images that might not get anywhere else. Here we got the claws painted in and things like that. Always interesting to see what was really planned versus something kind of missing some of the details just for probably a budgetary reason. I still really love these action figures. Played with them a lot. There you can see some of the marks that were supposed to kind of be bloody scratch marks. Just kind of a molding detail in the figure now. We've got Jake Clausen, or Razor. He does have kind of a bloody scratch there on his face. He's going to have that same articulation here. Actually, I can see some of the metal kind of things are rusting. I played with these, probably did play with them in the water and things like that, so he's going to have the same kind of articulation bits. I think it is a smaller form body. And here his tail actually has some bandages on it there. I do kind of like that they're kind of battle worn in a way here, but they went with green here kind of maybe to differentiate them more. On the show they just had the same blue and red costumes. Here he's kind of got a purple tinge to his suit with the green, but here you can see the helmet has the same red logo, so bit of a departure there. Little holster here, nothing you can fit inside, but just costume detailing. He came with the crossbow weapon, which isn't really something particularly from the show either. He should have just had the kind of glove weapon as well, but I think they just wanted to make them seem a little more different from each other, so he had a little bit different weapon. Not too bad, still used it and played with it, that this was kind of his weaponry. And of course on the card back you'll see the same kind of missing details here and there, especially on that chest piece there, and maybe some of the silver bits on the strapping and the claws. But he did get to have that bloody scratch on there, which is pretty interesting considering a Hanna-Barbera kind of cartoon with blood. Whoa, guys. Ages 5 and up. Remco, which was interesting that they did these. We have the 2 heroes, and now we have the 2 villains. First is Dark Cat, which is kind of like the Kingpin on the show. But you'll notice he's kind of the same size as the rest of them, and on the show he was very large. But he has a lot of the same articulation points, but he has kind of these costume pieces, so you could actually take his hood off and the cape, and you can see with the face, I don't know if they got a weird piece of concept art where his hood was making his face dark, but they've given him some sort of mask. And he definitely didn't have that in the show, so it's just kind of a weird... The villains really are a departure from their cartoon appearance here. We've got like machinery in his guts. He's got these weird vein things. Barefoot with these like straps. Interesting choices were made with the Dark Cat figure. He just kind of has a Kind of wacky, almost Ninja Turtle looking kind of weapon, like a scope and handle and kind of a Gatling kind of front here. They just went with the 4 figures, so I take it didn't do Ninja Turtle level sales. I would love to see a lot more figures in this series. Would have definitely got them. But I'll only be able to hold it in that hand because this one's just kind of doing a gun finger point here. Definitely looks a lot better with his hood and attire on, although it is a little weird. Doesn't fit on super tight. So on the card back we can see, again the toe claws colored, but he's supposed to have a lot of detail on this belt, and even inside the machinery there has a lot of coloring. Black and lots of little colored spots there, and the claws on the hand. But they did get a lot of the colored sort of vein things on the outside colored in, so they did get a budget win there for the figure. Although again, it's not really a detail that the television version even had, so strange choices, but still a pretty cool looking figure. It does have a lot of the elements of Dark Cat, purple and the cloak and everything. Always good to have some villains. I hate when you just end up with some heroes and nobody to fight when you play. And we have Dr. Viper, the mutant sort of character. Scientist, kind of transformed himself. A little bit of Spider-Man the Lizard here, wanting to transform other people. And has some lab coat remnants on him. Really cool, mohawk kind of thing. Has like the long head, drooling detail, but I think my figure did get some damage at one point. He possibly fell, so I have had to kind of glue him back together. He's mostly okay, but you can see the big gap. So typically that's not supposed to be there, but there was something happened to my poor Dr. Viper. Again, I would have played with these a lot as a kid. You can kind of see a lot of the paint chips and things here and there, but of course his tail's a lot different, kind of a lizard kind of tail. It still just has the same spinning articulation as the other figures. I like the big feet, definitely easier to stand him up, and plus he's balanced by the tail. He did come with a kind of gun weapon also, but I seems to have lost it, which is too bad. I kind of hate that I don't have them complete like that. And these figures go for quite a bit for some mysterious reason. It wasn't the most popular show, but fairly uncommon toy line, so I'm glad I at least have the figures, even if he is missing his little gun there. Plus the damage, really. I wouldn't mind getting a fresh Dr. Viper if they weren't so expensive to get a hold of. In the artwork on the back, that he would have these gloves, maybe for the doctor kind of element, but then he had all these little details on the bumps that were supposed to be colored in, but they didn't quite get to that level. Plus more coloring with yellow and things on his equipment on his clothes. And silver details on his shackles here. He seems to have escaped from somewhere, but here you can see that kind of gun weapon. There's still quite a bit of detail made it on with his kind of, the slime coming out of his mouth and everything else. Which we don't get to see the back. He has some colorings and things here. Who knows what they had intended for the back exactly. Awesome little toy line, but you'll kind of notice on the back of the carding here, 4 figures, and where is the jet that they could have been in. I think a lot of kids would have just got the jet alone, with or without the figures, just to fly around and play with. I would have loved to be able to put my 2 figures inside a kind of a toy Turbo Cat jet, especially when it was kind of the main vehicle and weapon and point of the show, that they were the pilots in the jet with their own specialty weapons and things. Definitely a missed opportunity for an awesome little vehicle toy. Could have had a couple different missiles from the television show. Could have balanced it out, gave Villain one of the vehicles or something in the toy line as well, but I guess it just didn't quite make the money that they expected. It's a great cartoon and show to watch still, the animation and just kind of its own ideas of the vigilante heroes here with the jet, not a common kind of thing as a focus. Definitely would have liked the jet, or a few more of the villains like the KATS and things like that would have been great to have as toys. Again, as a kid you never know what's coming out, so I kind of always expected a few more to show up sometime, and it never happened because I always loved watching the cartoon on TV. So please hit like if you like seeing these figures shown this close up here, the full set. Let me know if you ever got to play with them or see them before. Very glad I have these. I like a lot of my older toys that I kept as a kid that I can display and enjoy now too. I like to show my older collections and complete older collections here, and show new toys as well. I hope to see you again in another video.